Hi, Julie and Derek and Steve. Glad to be chatting to you
Hi.
all.
Hi guys, good to meet you.
Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet everyone here. Yeah.
Good,
Right,
good.
I've got to say quickly here, Julie, have you got a slight Scottish twang to your American accent there, or is it the other way around?
I might. I've been here this time since the end of March, so yes, I may have picked up a bit.
I just thought I got a little hint of it for a bit, and I thought, I got the wrong one who's Scottish, and I thought, no, I know which one it is. But I thought, yeah, there's definitely a hint there. Yeah, anyway.
Have you got American twang, Derek?
You say y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all now.
On that note, can I ask you where you're both based? I know you're Scotland and the USA, but whereabouts exactly?
Well, I'm based in the Scottish borders, about 20 miles from Berwick upon Tweed, and I've been here for many, many years, and yeah, enjoy it. It's a great part of the country, you know, really enjoy it. And Joey's obviously over here working together with me on some new projects that we're doing together, which is really exciting.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And I'm based in near Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
And they just had the Derby with the big upset with the outsider winning the Derby for maybe the first time ever. So
Did you have a bet on it?
no, I tried to, but it was pinging me international, wouldn't let me.
Oh, okay.
So, big question. I'm really interested in how you got together and collaborated on different books, considering you live so far away, or did you meet somewhere? Just tell us a little bit about it, because I'm really interested.
Yes, well, we followed each other on Twitter, and we're always very supportive of each other. And we were invited into a writers group on Twitter. And from there, we discovered we had a lot in common, that we really appreciated each other's writing styles. And in another conversation, I brought up kintsugi and the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi. And it's about mending broken things with gold. It's very beautiful. And that was very inspiring to Derek. And he wrote a poem, which is on my website, called Kintsugi. And that really was the birth of the first collaboration we had, Honey, Words to Heal and Mend. And I shared some pieces I had on my Instagram account with artwork of people with gold on them and some words that I wrote. And we took his poem and wrote some other things and made that book, Honey. It was our first collaboration.
Yeah, it's the book's called Honey, Words to Heal and Mend. So it's inspirational words set on a backdrop of artwork of folks with painted gold on them. I kind of like the resonance between mending things with the gold, and I kind of saw a parallel to, you know, folks have maybe been through hard times, etc., and mending and healing in the soul, as it were. And that was really the inspiration behind the poem Kintsugi. And as it happens, that book won a 5 stars and that Gold Book Award from Literary Titan last month. So for our first collaboration, straight out the blocks to win a gold award was just fantastic. You know, yes. Absolutely fantastic.
But it wasn't the first book we published together.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
So we wrote it, but we didn't release it right away.
The first book we published came about just for me joking, to be honest. I thought, because I've written a poetry book called Noir, which I think you know about, and we were just kind of chatting as we were working through Kintsugi, or Honey, Words to Heal and Mend, and I kind of posed the question to Joey, half jokingly, wouldn't it be cool if the Queen of Horror and the Noir guy wrote a book of poetry for Halloween? And we kind of took that idea, and believe it or not, we crashed out that book, the poetry, and over one weekend. Yeah. We started on the kind of Friday night with the idea. Saturday morning we were writing, Sunday we were writing, and come Sunday tea time we were done, and the poetry was written. And that really kind of sowed the seed for everything that we've done going forward. That we do seem to work ever so well together, very slickly, very smoothly, and counterfoiling with each other, and it's just been fantastic. And that's really set the template for absolutely everything we've done so far in terms of our joint creative approach to things.
We do have an amazing creative energy, symmetry together, and it just flows. We just do it.
We do.
Can I mention the range of both of your writing? You range from kid stories, from, what is it, the Little Darling books?
Yeah, I call them the little darlings because the Queen of Horrors fans are darlings, and so it's the little darlings.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of those children's books that are mine by myself, I wrote while I was in my master's program, and I decided just publish them. Let's just get them out there. And when we started writing together and did Honey and some of these inspirational things, I shared with them some other books, and we have written several children's books together that will be released. Hopefully, one of my Jaggy Little Babies is one of my favorite. It's going to come out this fall. It is so cute, and that's got a little bit of noir and Queen of Horror in it, but in a nice way for kids. So yeah, we just kind of write a little bit of everything. Whatever comes to us, we write, whether it's poetry. Our trees is educational, and
I mean, the Jaggy Little Babies, when they put it in context, is trying to demystify the stigma of nightmares for kids.
Oh, yeah.
And take away the spookiness, and our editor's been very complimentary about that we've kind of debunked the myths of things that go bump in the night kind of thing, and with characters, lovable little kind of creatures that the kids can relate to. So that was the intention behind that book. And it came just as a moment of madness on a Sunday night when we were chatting after a hard day's working on another project. We just started chatting about things, and we came up kidding around, and that kind of that spawned a series of poetry that found its way into the book. So sorry, Terry, I think you were about to go on and talk about the range.
No, I was going to say it ranges from children's stories up to horror fiction that does scare you. And is there an element of eroticness in the poetry, in the love poems? Was that a stretch, would you say?
no, I think some of them, definitely Unchaste is that way. I mean, it's pretty spicy. Not sure if there's anything else to say about that.
Yeah, we cover such a wide range of topics, as you say. You know, I mean, Julie's written the horror, the psych fiction, the kids' books, etc. We've written a variety of different types of poetry book. I've come from writing the non-fiction books to the dark poetry, to the nature poetry, to spooky tales for the Winter Chales collaboration. So we cover a whole range of things. So we just ebb and flow between one thing and another, and it's just it makes it the variety makes it even more exciting, if you know what I mean, in terms of we're never quite sure what we're going to touch on next as a writing topic, and it's just magical, to be honest. It's good.
Don't you find it's difficult to try and separate the two? I would struggle with doing children's books to get that balance right, and then doing the really dark side. You know, you've got to break that down and have a happy intermediate somewhere, haven't you? Do you not struggle with that at all? Does it come easy?
I think that in reality, to be honest, things just come to us, you know, and we get an idea. So, for example, last month, we have a series of books called the Our Series. And the Our Series includes books called Our Christmas, which is a seasonal one. We're about to start writing our Halloween, and we have Our Trees out there at the moment as well, which went top 3 on Amazon bestseller list. So that's an educational book. So I think our kind of halfway house, or maybe more the educational books, where we're kind of doing some research and providing graphics to feed into those particular genre of books. And I think that provides a gap between the two extremes for us, I think.
Yeah, and I think that the things we're just accepting of whatever's coming. And it may sound strange, but even my short stories and things, I've always feel like they're just dropped in. And I take that drop and kind of pull it apart like a schematic and look at it and say, how do I outline this? Because I've got to write it the way I have it in totality in my head. And so I'm pulling it apart. We don't really think about the genres. Like this came to us, we're going to write this, and we're like, okay.
Yeah. We decided we wanted to do a book about planets. It came to us, and we we just went for it and we wrote it, and we've, it's in its final stages just now, and that was a month ago. So we turned that around super fast, just because we had the inspiration to do it, the desire and the passion to move it on, another educational book. So we just went with it and just had so much fun doing the research and Joey creating the graphics. It's just fantastic.
Hey, certainly so like-minded, aren't you? The way you operate, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really good that
We
you bounce off
are.
each other so well.
We
Yeah.
are very much like-minded, aren't we? I
Yeah.
mean, 99%, I say, and I don't even know. I don't think we've ever disagreed on anything,
No.
which is bizarre, right?
Which,
Yeah.
well, we have very complementary skill sets. Julie is definitely the writer. I'm more the poet.
Okay.
Julie's great on the graphics.
Yeah.
I'm better at the research, obviously, from researching the civil rights book. I wrote the non-fiction book. So we gravitate towards our strengths and we bring our strengths together into a package, the books that we produce. And it works seamlessly well. It really does.
It looks like. Can I ask you about the books, the non-fiction book? This about the Clyde Kennard, the civil rights.
Yes.
What prompted you? Where did you get the inspiration for that? Was that through a bit of research?
It was through reading some civil rights biographies of the time, and so I came across the name Clyde Kennard in 2 or 3 books. But in each of those books, there was only like a paragraph or half a page, and that kind of got me wondering why there was only that limited amount of information available. So that kind of piqued my interest. And over a period of probably over 10 years, I started to research it. And the deeper I went, Terry, the more I wanted to find out. And eventually it spawned the book. Initially, it was just simple, a case of some research to keep the grey cells going kind of thing, Yeah. But it just evolved and developed into a book. And the more I went into it, as I say, the more I wanted to tell this guy's story, and also to put it in the context of the times in which he was around, to give some kind of background and context to people of the times that he lived in and what he actually went through and suffered at the time, and more recently in the 20th century, 21st century, in terms of folk who took up his name and his cause,
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Linked with that, I watched a film a couple of years ago, the Green Book, I think, about the civil rights movement.
Yes.
Even though I was sort of, I'm at an age now where I sort of went through the transformation in civil rights in America. But that film has certainly opened my eyes. Certain places that Black people were allowed to stay at on tour, despite the massive talent.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, there was no, as you say, that's a great example there. In terms of the Green Book, it's a great example that it didn't matter the talent or the national presence of a particular individual in the US. The minute you crossed the Mason-Dixon line, it was the colour was the divide. It wasn't the talent; it was the colour. But things have changed now. Obviously, it's moved on hugely since then.
Can I ask you a little bit about hobbies? Now, I know you like a bit of photography, Derek, and you like to get out and about in the country. Do you also, Julie, like that photography as well? Do you share those talents or not?
He's definitely the photographer. I like to take pictures, but I wouldn't call it photography. So he's got a great eye, and he does a lot of photography for our books. And in fact, tomorrow we're going to have a photo shoot at Seaside for an upcoming book. But for my hobbies, I do stained glass. And I don't get to do it as often now as I used to, but that would be my go-to hobby if and when I have time around writing.
Cool. And do you share the odd malt whiskey with Derek then, because you like malt whiskey, don't you? I couldn't help but pick up on that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good question. I've never tried it.
All right.
So,
We have some bottles. Don't worry.
Was that a hint,
it's on the
Julie?
to-do list.
It's on the to-do list.
Was it a big hint?
No, we still to try that, Terry. Still to try that.
Okay, Julie, can I ask you how you got your title, the Queen of Horror? Tell me about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
My friend Anna Mosicat, she is the author of the Behind Blue Eyes series, the cyberpunk series. And one day in a Twitter post, she referred to me as the Queen of Horror. And I responded with pictures of dark queens. And every time anybody said anything to me that day, I just kept playing the role of the queen. It went on for a couple of weeks. And then I wrote a post thanking everyone for playing along with me and that I had great fun. And I had an overwhelming response from people saying, "You are the queen of horror. I would have never read the genre had it not been for you. It had not been for your writing." And it was just overwhelming. And my oldest son, Alex, who does some narration work for us, he said, "Mom, just go with it. Just go with it. Just embrace it." So I did. I put it in my Twitter bio. It's on my, tag. And it's just a fun thing that I do and who I am. It's been a couple of years now, and that's how it came about. It was Anna.
I was just going to add to that. Yeah, I mean, you both like horror genres. So what scares you most about horror? What would wake you up in the middle of the night? Does anything bother you about horror? Because some people get really touchy about reading it and can actually feel scared afterwards. Are you like that at all? Or do you just enjoy it?
I'm not really anymore. I used to when I was a teenager. I would get scared all the time at night, and scary movies. I remember watching The Omen and Exorcist, and that was, I didn't sleep for days, right? But and Damien, I think, was another one, that little kid, creepy. So I just love that. More so, I love Alfred Hitchcock. I like the Twilight Zone and things like that. So I'm not really a writer of the gore type of horror. Really more, I like twist endings. I like to surprise the reader, have them think that's going one place and have it be about something else. So I like that kind of horror. But the only thing that I would say now is scary is he does a noir voice, and it's really creepy. And don't let him do it at night. It's scary. You're not allowed to do it.
You're okay to do it now, Derek? While the light's on?
No.
It's the daylight.
Banned.
Banned.
It's on the YouTube channel. I did a couple of poems for the darker half in the noir type voice.
RSVP
from
hell.
Yeah.
That one he does the voice in. He's got it narrated.
And that's on the YouTube channel.
That's on my YouTube channel. Yeah.
That's coming up next.
It's probably linked on mine too. You have to go listen to it, and it's just like.
It's coming up next. Now I'm going to do the edit. Don't worry.
RSVP from hell. Thank you kindly for your generous invite. I'm afraid I'm unable to attend this night, for I have business this All Hallows Eve, sowing darkness and fear, I do believe. For time is short in those few hours. I must destroy all that flowers, and allow the dead to rise again and take their place among mortal men. And so, my friend, I must decline, for I have already decided that you are mine.
Yeah, I think, mate, you're going to ask something about the YouTube channel, Terry.
Yeah, how often do you update it? It looks you've got loads of short clips. Do you do this regular updates on this, Julie?
I update it as often as I can, but typically now, because we're writing so much, it's when we're releasing a new book, and we'll narrate our poems or excerpts from it and put that up. And now we have some montages, which really started with Honey. The book is so beautiful, we wanted to show the book, and my son Alex will narrate like the content description, and then Joel Jackson, who is amazing, he films it and directs it, and he makes these little movie montages flipping through our book with Alex's voiceover, and then pieces of us reading parts of the book, and makes these beautiful little mini movies. And he's done that for Honey, and he did it for Our Trees. And we recently did it for the Enchanted Fairy Realm, which will be released in June, a beautiful kids book of poetry that talks in the end about poetry to kids and how they can write poetry. So it's really fun. And Joel also directed and filmed my origin story as a horror writer. It's called The Devil's Scribe. and it's about why I write horror. And the little girl, Reese DeWitt, is going to be a superstar. She plays me as a little girl, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
As a horror author, I'm often asked why this genre. The answer is an event that happened after my mother died.
Mommy? I'm scared. Mommy?
Your mother's not here. She's gone forever.
I pushed myself upright and rubbed the sleep from my eyes.
Who's there?
We haven't met. Not formally, at least. But I've always watched you from afar.
I can't see you. I want my mommy.
My voice quivered with each tear.
Wake up some more and you'll remember. Ah, there it is. The look of terror. Did the funeral flash through your tiny head? I thought it was rather lovely. I believe your grandmother took a couple of Polaroids should you forget the image of your dear mother in her silk-lined casket. No, you don't need them. I can tell by your expression you'll never forget. Not ever.
My fingers fumbled until I found the top of the pink poodle lamp on my nightstand. I clicked the switch, and a warm, soft glow illuminated my bedside. I swung my legs over the edge, ready to step on the floor. Suddenly, I drew my feet back and shoved them under the covers.
Girl, I'm not here to harm you. If I desired such, it would already be done.
Then what do you want?
To make a deal with you. To give you everything you've ever dreamt of.
You can bring my mommy back?
Oh, no, don't be ridiculous. Well, I could, but I really don't think you'd like it. No, I meant fame and fortune.
My legs drifted over the bed's edge once again. This time, my feet settled firmly on the floor, and I spoke to the demon with sureness.
Why would I want that?
Everyone does. Don't be fooled by naysayers. They'll justify their lack thereof with all kinds of excuses, but make no mistake, everyone desires this. Besides, you're never going to have your mother back. Won't lots and lots of money ease the pain just a little bit?
I want to see who you are. Step out into the light.
Are you certain? Some find their perception of me terrifying. Mind you, I appear as your beliefs generate. Not as I truly am, but as your fear creates me.
As Joey said, the YouTube channel I have, again, I put excerpts from narrated poetry on it. I'd also put some maybe movies I've taken when I've been on vacation up in the hills and such like. I've had, like yourself, Terry, have some music on there as well, you know, music that I like, links to that type of thing.
Yeah.
And also some interesting things that I've found on YouTube as well, just as a something a bit different, you know. But it's good fun to do.
Yeah, you like the Groove Armada one, Derek? Yeah.
I do like Groove Armada. Yeah, love that track. Yeah.
Can I ask you about publishers? And you mentioned editor and publisher. Are you independently published, or are you with a traditional publisher?
I'm with a mix.
Bit of both. Bit of both.
I'm with a bit of both. Yeah.
Okay.
The non-fiction book, The Life and Times of Clyde Kennard, was self-published, but through a publisher. It was done through a company, like a hybrid situation. Yeah. Noir, Nature Boy, and the forthcoming poetry book, the last of that trilogy, Elegy, is done through a publisher called 8N Publications. And the work that Julie and I do is we self-publish that.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Joey does all the hard work for that. I just kind of say, yeah, okay, thanks.
Well, as you said before, you bounce off each other really well, so that's Julie's job, and you guys.
We do, yeah. Julie's vastly more experienced in that than I am. So, and as I say, we play to our strengths, and we do what we can to support one another. You know.
Yeah, I saw on one of the opening pages.
My books before are self-published, independently published. Yeah. We just write so much. Traditional publishing takes so long.
Forever, isn't it? You wait a year, don't you, to get a feedback?
Yeah, and that's a job in itself, right?
Yeah, you can wait a lifetime.
Like to write.
We like to write, we like to publish, we like to move on to the next project, and we just keep going.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. I did a double take. I was looking at the introduction pages for Amore, and it looked to me like the publisher was King Kusma, which obviously both of your names.
Yeah.
We put that in there, and you know, that's really where we're heading.
Yes.
Yeah. So we decided we're going to imprint that way. It'll be our first use when it's time to trademark it and do it. Who knows? Maybe we'll even publish some other people.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Yeah,
sounds
fun.
Yeah. I notice you've both got a pretty huge following numbers on Twitter. Is that your main platform for showcasing your work and promoting books, or if you have other methods as well? I mean, I'd obviously use, if I had that many followers, I would use it, but is that what you do?
Yeah, for me, it's primarily Twitter. YouTube for me is just a wee bit of a sideline. I don't have as many followers on that. I recently just started the YouTube channel, so anyone's watching who haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. please. That'd be lovely. Thank you very much. Julie's basically on all the social media platforms, so over to you.
I'm on Facebook, and I have a Facebook author. I have an Instagram page, which I love Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Goodreads. You have Goodreads?
I do.
Yes. We both have, of course, our Amazon author pages, which have things. I mean, mainly my website is where I have everything, because I have a few children book collaborations with Jill Yoder, who is our editor, and some things with her too on there. So everything's on there.
Yeah.
Links to all the sites.
Okay.
Julie's been encouraging me to get a website of my own built, so that's a work in progress just now. So I'll soon have my own site as well. So that's to follow.
We have newsletters, the review newsletters on Twitter. That is an awesome place to find out what's going on with us, because we talk a little bit about, or I do in mine for sure, what I'm doing, and that's how people knew I was going to be here. And sometimes we share covers of books that aren't released yet, or the title, or about what's going on with us and where we're going. So
yes, we put a little bit of unique content in it that isn't anywhere else. I might put some animations in there, or some trailers, or some little movies, excerpts, or bits of poetry or photographs that isn't anywhere else. So it just has a little bit of uniqueness, and it's a much more personal way to for folks to understand what we're doing and what we're writing about and what we're moving on to.
Yeah, there's a subscribe option, isn't there, on both of your profiles?
Yeah,
there is.
So people hit that, then they'll sort of get more of the latest information from both of you.
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you considered then a joint website? You're saying Derek, you want to do your own individual one. The first thing that struck me was, well, maybe you need a joint one. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are, whether you considered that before.
I have on my website, I have a page for Derek with his books, and I have our collaborations there as well. But we've talked about that. I think that will come with King Kusma.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're both linking to each other's websites and have pages for each other on our own website, individual websites.
Right.
But I think the time will come, Steve, where we will have a King Kusma website that will kind of cover all things.
Yeah, and under
Makes
that,
sense,
and
makes
we'll put
sense,
the
yeah.
Queen of Horror and the Noir Guy under that, and
Yeah.
all of the collaborations under that umbrella.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Yeah.
That sounds brilliant. Can I ask what you're working on at the moment? I know that you've got the volumes of the lighter half and the darker half. Is that going to be ongoing? Is that going to be part of a major series?
It is. We have a number kind of scheduled out. We have a number of those within the individual schedules for lighter half and darker half. We have content in, but not to a point yet where we're ready to release them. We're also working on a number of kind of children's books, and I'll let Joey talk to them in a little moment. And we're also working on Our series books, the educational books. As I mentioned earlier, we're just about to wrap up Our Planets, which is a book about the solar system, and we're about to, which will be the second in our educational series. And we also have a new Our seasonal book that we're about to embark on called Our Halloween, just to run parallel with Our Christmas book, which is obviously a very seasonal offering. So do you want to chat about the poetry, Mice?
So one of the things that we're almost done with, we just have a few more illustrated pages to finish inside, is I think one of the coolest collaborations we've done. Derek wrote poems and I wrote a story around them, weaving them together. And it's a children's storybook. I think it's beautiful. And it's called The Poetry Mouse. And her name's Evie, and she's doing her best to get her poetry out in the world. It's beautiful, and the illustrations are watercolor, and it's just gorgeous, isn't it? It's just, I love it.
The general theme is of the poetry is that it's a little field mouse who writes poetry about other hedgerow creatures, and Joey's woven a beautiful story, tapestry story round about that, and the two things come together. And it's the first book where we've taken our individual core strengths and brought them together in one volume, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really looking forward to that one coming out. It's good. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite things we've done.
Excellent. Sounds really good. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So there's always something going on with us, Stephen. We're always producing something. There's always some ideas. We've got a tranche of projects on the list that we want to get to, as well as the lighter half, darker half. So we have a whole series of different things. We have stories written, as Julie mentioned earlier, where we're in the process of looking at the illustration side to go with them. I think we've got 3 of those waiting to go. So we've got a whole roster of things that are upcoming,
Yes, because it's not like 1 or 2 things. It's dozens of things.
Yes, it is. It's dozens.
And they're just all in different stages. And incredibly, we both are okay with having all these plates spinning at the same time.
Yeah.
And when we're down to like 4 or 5 projects, I'm like, something's wrong. We're not doing enough. What's going on? So we have to remind ourselves how much we're really doing and creating, and take a break every now and then.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, this love we share, always knowing when to comfort, when to care.
Through fire and ice, I'd walk for her. Descend ocean's depths, I'd dive for her.
We're made of stardust, you know, from the beginning of time. Eons love-making each star. Heavens sparkle, and just look at us shine.
10,000 galloping horses carry my message of love to you. Across the steppe plains and deserts to tell you my love is true.
Amore, The Lighter Half, Volume 2, by Derek R. King and Julie L. Kusma.
Wow, sounds like you just need to be together all the time to do all this. I mean, how you do that when you're apart, I just don't know. You obviously bounce off each other so well. It's
well,
great.
Up until Christmas, everything we created, the Honey Words to Healing Men, Darker Half 13, Darker Half 12, Santa's Claus, Our Christmas book, Abracadabra, were all done on Zoom. We collaborated them all on Zoom. in the evenings because I have a day job, and obviously we have a 5-hour time difference. So we were working at the weekends, or we have a 5-hour time difference, I should say. Oh, appropriate. Yeah, sorry about that. We have a 5-hour time difference. So we were doing it on Zoom at weekends and in the evenings, and that's how those books evolved and came together.
Which was a little bit brutal, and it was easier for me just to kind of get halfway in between the time zones because I write full time. So we would work Zoom when we could, before work, after work, weekends. This is much easier.
Yeah, I'm getting near the end now. Can I ask you, where can people get hold of your books? Where's the best platform? Is it Amazon from your website?
It's Amazon is the best platform to pick our books. It's a nice, easy website. The majority of the books are all paperback and an ebook. Our series at the moment is predominantly paperback, but we're looking to try and see how we can convert that. So that might be a future thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Work your magic together.
Yes.
We're going to work your magic. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Finally, from me, any advice to would-be writers or poets on the best way to go about it? If there's someone's chatting to you now, or listening to this, or watches this later on, what would be your advice on the best way to start a career in writing or poetry?
I always kind of answer the same way here because I believe this is true. I think you should study the craft because there's so many tools out there available. And once you've studied them to see what is available and how to use it, just throw away the ones that don't work for you. This is how I think you find your writer's voice. Find all of the things that work and just do it if it makes you happy and it feels right. There will be readers for you.
For me, it's easy. I mean, I didn't start really writing. The Clyde Canard book came out when I was 50, just after 50, in my mid-50s. So it's never too late. Another thing I would say is that don't be put off by rejection letters. There's a few famous books that have been knocked back on first review. One of the Harry Potter books was knocked back. Moby Dick was knocked back. The Twilight series was knocked back. Joseph Heller's Catch-22 was knocked back. So when you think of some of those classics and more recent books that have been knocked back, and ultimately there was one poor guy kind of knocked back the Beatles at some record company in the dim distant past. So no one has a monopoly on wisdom, and I'm sure there's someone out there who will enjoy whatever it is you produce. So don't give up, keep going.
Brilliant.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Superb.
I like that. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Well,
thanks.
Derek and Julie, it's been a joy to be chatting with you. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Terry. We really appreciate you being here, and Steve too. I've really enjoyed the questions.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah,
good.
Brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really interesting. It's been excellent. Yeah.
Maybe we could have another chat maybe in the future. When 6 months down the line, when you've got more out in print.
Love
There'll be plenty more. There'll be plenty more books.
I was going to say, it sounds like you'll have a lot more up by then with all them plates spinning.
Definitely, that would be delightful.
Yeah, love to do that. Love to do that.
Okay, we're grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both, and thank you, Steve. Cheers.
Yeah, no worries. All right, thanks.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Now. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye bye.